So this is the fourth in the series of going through each of the drivers' audio in those last 5 laps of Abu Dhabi. And it's the communications that each of these drivers has with their race engineer and demonstrating that they are not authentic and demonstrating that what the race engineers are saying are not in accordance with the rules of the sport. This is significant. It demonstrates that each of these teams is complicit with breaking the rules of the sport to manufacture that outcome. That means that these teams are complicit with a fraud. Now, this one is Sebastian Vettel, a key expose this one is. And the reason being, Sebastian Vettel is an extremely experienced driver and a 4-time world champion. Won one of those world championships behind a safety car in Brazil. And one of the things that you need to actually look at is ground it in this context. On the 9th of February 2022, Sky Sports put in front of all of us Martin Brundle, the expert of the sport, and Martin Brundle said this.
It's not straightforward. I know an awful lot of things that were going on around and about it, and it is super uncomfortable for Formula One, but...
Okay, he said that, but before that, let me rewind and show you what he said. So I'm going to play you the waffle because the waffle is important and I'm going to expose the lies within the waffle. This is at 2:08. You can all go and look at this interview. I've broken it down several times and I will do again because it's lies and validation from Sky Sports. But there is something key coming up in this video and you need to apply this to the audio that you hear from Sebastian Vettel, which I'm going to take you through shortly. But this is what Brundle is put in front of the world to tell us.
It's not new news, as Craig pointed out.
This is diminishing the impact of the emergence of Jonathan Wheatley on the radio to Michael Massey saying we don't need to let those cars get right around the track and then we have a motor race on our hands. So it's then put out there that it's apparent that Red Bull appear to be coercing the race director. And these teams on the radio to the race director putting him under so much pressure has resulted in this controversy. Why is it that every team is just communicating to their driver, we think he's going to start like this, and this is with 2.5 laps remaining. We think he's going to start like this. So when's this pressure come in? Why are all these teams accepting that these rules are going to be broken? What's going on there? But again, I'll point out waffle.
And also, I think you have to understand that it's not necessarily telling Michael Massey something he didn't already know. For example, on a wet day in Spa, you don't let the cars go all the way round and catch the pack up the crocodile.
Martin coming out with his wet day in Spa example. The lie that he repeats time and time again. And if you repeat it enough time, people believe it. But it's a lie.
As I call it in commentary. And it's something I would have said on the day.
Because whilst he words it, you don't let them get right away around the track. That's not the regulation. The regulation is, when it is safe to do so, you give the message to the cars that have been lapped that qualify to be released. They get released. And then the safety car remains on track for a further lap of that track. And that is affording those released cars the opportunity to make it around that track to try to catch the back of the pack, because it's in the regulations that they are to make every effort to catch the back of the pack. So the actual bare wording of the regulations doesn't define that they have to, okay, but you have to afford them the opportunity. And Martin, and they all do. It's their, they think, is a clever expose of the wordings. You don't have to get them right away around the track. No, you don't have to allow them to get right away around the track, but you still have to carry out the mandatory regulation to give them the opportunity of that.
I'm pretty sure, and I've said many times before, you know, it takes too long. It would take too long out of the race if you let them find their way, especially if there's still an incident on the racetrack when you...
There will not be an incident on the racetrack when you release them. You can't release them until that racetrack is declared safe by the clerk of the course. So this is gaslighting. This is trying to disorientate people. This is throwing something into the mix to make them think, well, is it this? Is it that? We don't know. It's all confusing, isn't it, Martin?
Release the lap cars. At Monaco, they might catch the back of the pack or whatever. So let's not assume.
So he's thrown in an example where they won't. He's thrown in an example where they will. Oh, it's all confusing everybody. It's not. It's a simple regulation. Simple procedure. When the track is safe, the message goes to those lapped cars, off you go, and then the safety car remains out on track for a further lap to give them the opportunity. Simple as that.
It's giving Massey information he didn't already know in terms of what he could and couldn't do with the...
Yes, and we know what Massey already knew, because what he actually did, he utilised his discretion. He utilised 15.3, his overriding authority, to keep that safety car out on track for a further lap beyond that mandatory one on 4 occasions whilst he was race director. Spain 2019, Brazil 2019, Sakir 2020, Eiffel 2020. 4 times. 4 demonstrations of what Massey knew, and therefore what he knew the purpose was, and that was to restore sporting fairness to all competitors.
With the lap pack. Of course, it's really uncomfortable. A lot of people are unhappy, and Hamilton fans, Mercedes fans, and you don't even have to be a Lewis Hamilton fan to...
Trying to cause division. On the one hand, the Hamilton fans will think this, but if you're a Verstappen fan, you'll think that that's irrelevant. All that's relevant is the facts, and the facts are the regulations. Talk us through the regulations, Martin.
I think that forever he should be an 8-time world champion, because for me, the really crucial regulation was...
It's not for you, okay? This isn't an opinion, Martin. This isn't for you. Okay, so remove the for you, and we'll start with the really crucial regulation that
wasn't carried out is the safety car should have come in at the end of the following lap.
The really crucial regulation that wasn't carried out was the safety car should have come in at the end of the following lap. You've just stated. The really crucial regulation that wasn't carried out was that the safety car should have come in at the end of the following lap. Yet in commentary, when it was happening live, you were proposing, oh, will they let the lapped cars go? I don't think it's mandatory, but that's usually on a wet day in Belgium. But if they do release the lapped cars, how long will they wait? We heard that multiple times on the day in commentary as you were narrating the fix, Martin. And now you're able to say that for you, but forget the for you, because we're dealing with facts now, not your opinion. The facts are the crucial regulation that wasn't carried out. Well, firstly, they didn't release all of the cars that were required to be released. Only 5 of 8 did. So there's one regulation that's broken. But crucially, once all 8 have been released, the safety car will return to the pits at the end of the following lap. So that safety car had to remain on track for a further lap. And it didn't do that. And you couldn't tell us that real time, could you, Martin? But now you can. This is something you've discovered, or you didn't actually realise that in the 10 previous years that you were commentating on them sports, on that sport, and the numerous time you witnessed the same thing happen over and over and over and over again. No, you're paid to lie to us. You're paid to condition. And if we just go back, Martin, what we'll do for you, the really crucial thing.
Lewis Hamilton fan to think that forever he should be an 8-time world champion, because for me, the really crucial regulation that wasn't carried out is the safety car should have come in at the end of the following lap.
Yes, the safety car should have come in at the end of the following lap. You know that. We know that. The teams know that. The FIA know that. And yet it was just one guy's error that meant that that didn't happen. But why were you lying to everybody before it happened to convince people that it could be this, it could be that? We don't know what's going to happen when you know what needs to happen.
But we also know that unwritten rules and meetings, which shouldn't supersede anything, well, let's try not to have a race finishing.
We all know of unwritten rules. Well, they're not rules. And meetings that shouldn't supersede anything. What are they? Unwritten rules and meetings that shouldn't supersede anything. And what this Sebastian Vettel audio demonstrates, as do the other three, is that they demonstrate that there have been meetings. These teams, these drivers have been in meetings where it has been proposed the notion of a racing finish. You are not allowed to do that. You are not allowed to contrive an ending to a sport. That's a fraud. Many of you won't realise that. You think that they are allowed to do that, and the reason you think that they're allowed to do that is because you've been told that they've all made this agreement that they want to end as a racing finish. So you think that is sufficient validation. Yeah, the teams agreed to a racing finish. So yeah, once they've agreed, there's nothing that we can do about it. They've made the agreement, so that's fine. No, it's not fine. You don't understand that it's not fine. You can't make that agreement. Translate this over to football. When we have the World Cup final, those two teams contesting that cannot agree between themselves beforehand. Let's make sure this goes to a penalty shootout, shall we? That will make it exciting for the fans, won't it? Well, what are you doing? You're manipulating an outcome of an event, aren't you? You're opening that event up to a manipulation, to a team playing some clever cards, aren't you? Oh, we've agreed beforehand that we're going to have a penalty shootout. So actually, we know that it's going to be a draw at the end of normal time. We know that it's going to be a draw at the end of extra time. So what we'll need to do is make sure that come the end of extra time, so that the team that's on the field going into that penalty shootout, we'll make sure we have all our best penalty takers out on that field. It doesn't matter about our formation. It doesn't matter about what our defensive lineup is. If all our best penalty takers are attackers, we'll just have a team of attackers on the pitch, because we know that this is going to become a penalty shootout. And even if we put all of our attackers on the pitch, it doesn't matter, because the other team's not going to score, because they've agreed to the penalty shootout. You can't agree an outcome. You cannot agree an ending to a sporting event. No, it's called a fraud. It's sports manipulation.
Rules and meetings, which shouldn't supersede. But we also know that unwritten rules and meetings, which shouldn't supersede anything, well, let's try not to have a race finishing under the safety car. A huge.
You can't do that. You can't do that.
Hugely unacceptable. I've met so many fans.
Oh, it's hugely unacceptable. You were part of it. You were a kingpin in this, Martin. Now you're telling the world it's hugely unacceptable. You were one of the reasons that enabled it. You were convincing a global population that it was possible for that to be that way. But now you're saying, well, for me, the key regulation that wasn't carried out is the safety car should have returned to the pits at the end of the following lap. Yeah, what we all knew. And now he presents, oh yeah, I'm now put in front of you to explain it's all confusing, but there's these meetings and these sub-meetings, and it's really uncomfortable. Yeah, it really is. And what does that show? That shows you that people are having meetings and discussing how to produce an outcome. What that means is when two people meet together and talk about making things happen a certain way, they are conspiring. Okay? If I say to you, this is something that we're going to do this. Let's plan it so that we can make sure that this happens, shall we? We are conspiring to produce an outcome. That is called a conspiracy. Okay? Don't let the language scare you. You've been conditioned to believe that this term conspiracy, ooh, crazy shit, they're talking about aliens and some weird and wonderful shit. Put your tinfoil hats on, everybody. Oh, we've got a conspiracy theorist. Whoa! No, doesn't mean that, does it? It means if people come together and talk about how to produce a certain outcome, they are conspiring to produce that outcome. Oh, the teams had a meeting to decide that they didn't want the outcome being the race finishing behind the safety car. So they are conspiring to produce something where the race doesn't end behind the safety car. Think about that. Think about that. That is a conspiracy. Crazy shit, hey? Crazy shit. Now I'm going to play you the Sebastian Vettel audio. We know Sebastian Vettel's experience in the sport. We know he's quite an intelligent lad. Let's see if Sebastian Vettel's audio is authentic, which parts are, which parts aren't, and let's see if what is being communicated by his race engineer is in accordance with the rules and regulations of this sport. This all matters. So the thing to bear in mind when we go through this, and when you go back through Mick Schumacher's audio, Lance Stroll's audio, Daniel Ricciardo's audio, and this will be Vettel's, the fourth one, and there's going to be 10 more. When you go through each of these, does it indicate that these teams and these drivers are aware of some sort of an agreement to somehow manufacture a resumption to racing, even though the rules of the sport are being broken to manufacture that? Nobody is calling out that the rules are being broken. They're all accepting of them, even though what is taking place is wrong and isn't in accordance with the rules of the sport. I need you to bear that in mind as you are listening to what you're going to hear now, and I'm going to break it down and talk about it as we go. So here we go. It would help if I've got the audio on, because I'm not hearing it. So I've just plugged in there. Give me a second. Here we go again. In fact, I don't think there'll be any issues with 3 seconds into it. Let's try again.
So Ricciardo 28.7, Lance 28.6.
Oh no, Nicholas Latifi has crashed. Okay, excuse the fact that this side, the right hand side of the screen is moving around. When I did the first audio recording, I didn't have my headphones clicked in, so I wasn't sure we were getting audio. But it's fine. You'll soon see that sort itself out. So, at the point in time Latifi crashes, Vettel's coming around turn 6 and turn 7. So we'll get the notification of the crash and the fact that there's going to be a safety car soon.
So that's a safety car.
So, bearing in mind that Vettel, if you look at this running order of cars, at that time, Ricciardo was in 11th position, Leclerc 12th, Vettel 13th. So his race was in with Leclerc and Stroll. He'd been lapped. All right. Third place, Perez is coming round to try and catch Stroll.
Car keep your temperature in your tyres. You can go to heat,
Do we have a gap to box into?
Yeah, we're just going to keep an eye on what happens to the cars ahead. If a lot of cars stop ahead, we might not.
So, straight away, safety car situation. Do we have the opportunity to pit for changing tyres? So he knows what the format is. There's a safety car. Do we change onto fresh tyres? And this notion of a gap, okay, can we get in and out of the pits without losing track position? Okay, and then his race engineer is saying, well, we're seeing what the other teams do, because if they pit and you stay out, you're going to gain positions, and that might be the better way of doing this. They also will know that with 5 and a bit laps to go, there were 5.4 laps left for the leader Hamilton at the point in time Latifi crashes. It's unlikely to restart, and therefore track position is key. But it's also the notion of, well, if you've got nothing to lose, it's worth taking the gamble just on the off chance that this manages to get cleared up quicker, and therefore at least we've then got the advantage of those fresh tyres that could give us an at the advantage should racing resume. So at this stage, there is nothing untoward with what's going on.
So just be close on your delta.
Let me know.
So there's a lag in the audio. Okay, we know that what we hear is broadcast about 4 seconds after it's actually spoken, just so that they can edit out any swearing. Where he's coming by is a pit entrance at the moment. So just prior to the pit entrance, he'd have been on his radio to his team saying, am I to pit or what?
Stay out, stay out, stay out, stay out.
Okay, so he's hearing that as he's rounding the final turn 16. But obviously he would have heard that just before the pit entrance, so that he did stay out. So Aston Martin have made the decision that he is staying out. They've seen that Daniel Ricciardo ahead of him has pitted, and they've made the decision, well, you've gained a place by doing that. So actually you're now in 11th position. So let's stick with that. Let's go with that and see if you can then chase down Leclerc. Oh, it must add, should any racing resume. If it doesn't, well, you're still out of the points. If it does, you'd have been out of the points. So actually, if there is a resumption, probably your only chance of getting a point is by being in 11th and having the chance of overtaking 10th, if it can happen. And what have they done with Stroll? See, they've pitted Stroll. Now, was that for optics? Was that to make the pit lane traffic seem really busy? So, oh, he's pitting, he's pitting, he's pitting. What's going on here? Tyres, 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 everybody. Was that part of the agreement? I don't know. Could well be. Ultimately, Stroll was well down. He had nothing to lose, did he? Wasn't going to lose track position. And by being on the fresh tyres, well, why did they pit Stroll but not Vettel? Well, Vettel would have been on the verge of the points when Ricciardo then pitted. At the moment, he's 12th. When Perez retires, he's 11th. He can challenge for a 10th then.
Doing a good job with these tyres, just keep working on the brakes. It is Verstappen behind on an out lap. Behind him it's Ricciardo on used soft.
Okay, so that message is fine. Verstappen's behind you. He's not really an issue, is he? Because you're not racing him. Before any racing resumes, any cars which have been lapped, which is you, Sebastian, and which is Ricciardo, okay, you're racing Ricciardo. He's the car that's behind you. He's on used soft. Okay, but before we can race, we know that this order needs to sort itself out. These lapped cars need to be released and given the opportunity to catch the back of the pack. And then if we've got the correct race order, then we can go racing. So at that point in time, Ricciardo is the guy on used soft tyres that's what you're going to be up against.
So let's see if his car's left. Keep there out ahead.
So I didn't get that. So let's see if we can understand that.
So let's see if his car's left. Keep there out ahead.
It's mentioning about Latifi's car, isn't it? So keep in left.
So we believe 4 laps at the end of this one.
Let's rewind that.
So we believe 4 laps at the end of this one.
It's not 4 laps at the end of this one. Definitely not 4 laps at the end of this one.
It will take them longer than that.
Yeah, copy that.
Other stuff on the track.
Sebastian Vettel, with all of his experience, has looked at that scene as he's passed it and said it will take longer than that. That's a man, an experienced Formula One racer, has looked at a situation and an incident on a track and has said, yeah, that's going to take longer than that.
It will take them longer than that.
Yeah, copy that.
Other stuff on the track.
They got to let you.
And they did the fire thing.
Yeah.
Let me just get the chronology of this right, because this idea of 4 laps at the end of this one, that probably would have actually taken place before the checkered flag. Now let's just double check. Bearing in mind there's a 4-second lag. Let's just see this coming round here. So Vettel is just about to cross the start-finish straight, around about 4 seconds. So if this message occurs within about the next 4 seconds, they're on about at the completion of this, and now there's 4 laps to go.
So we believe 4 laps at the end of this one.
We believe 4 laps at the end of this one.
So we believe 4 laps at the end of this one.
Don't know what you'd believe. It's a 58 lap race. It's quite easy to calculate.
It will take them longer than that.
It will take them longer than that. So Sebastian Vettel knows that this is going to take a long time to clear up, and therefore it's unlikely that there's going to be a resumption of racing.
Yeah, copy that.
Other stuff on the track.
They got to let you.
And they did the fire thing.
Yeah.
Copy that. They've got to let you. And then Seb goes, and they did the fire thing. What have they got to let you?
It will take them longer than that.
Yeah, copy that.
Other stuff on the track.
They got to let you.
And they did the fire thing.
They've got to let you, and then Seb cuts over, and they did the fire thing.
Yeah.
Extinguisher is the word I was looking for.
Extinguisher, roger that.
So far, Sebastian Vettel is looking at this situation and thinks that it's not going to be possible to restart it. Regardless of what discussions or meetings may have taken place beforehand, he's looking at the situation and thinking, well, this isn't going to look possible.
Michael wants to get this race restarted. He should let us through.
If Michael wants to get this race restarted, he should let us through. Why would Sebastian Vettel be concerned about Michael wanting to get this race restarted? If Michael wants to get this race restarted, he should let us through. So what has been communicated to teams and drivers ahead of this event about the desire to get this race restarted? What does it matter to Sebastian Vettel at this stage? Okay, Sebastian Vettel at this stage is currently running in 12th position. Sergio Perez is still out on track. He's in 12th position. Does it matter to Seb? This is the last race of the season. Seb's going nowhere in the championship. He's going to go nowhere in this race. He's not got fresh tyres. In fact, the man behind him would be Daniel Ricciardo. If anything, he stands to lose position in this race. So why is Sebastian Vettel saying, if Michael wants to get this race restarted, he should let us through? Well, that's not in accordance with the regulations. That is just commenting with reference to a desire that Sebastian Vettel is aware of.
Michael wants to get this race restarted. He should let us through.
If Michael wants to get this race restarted, he should let us through. So when did Michael express a desire to everybody that they want to ensure that this race ends with a racing finish, is restarted? He should let us through. Sebastian, you are an experienced Formula One driver. You know that you cannot be let through until it is safe to do so. You're not aware of what the state of that track is. You have actually, well, you are, because you've passed that scene. You've just said this is going to take too long. This isn't going to happen. It will take longer than that because of the debris that's still on the track, and the fire extinguisher thing went off. The fire thing. And now you're proposing, so you've identified that as you went by the scene. This is going to take too long, essentially. It will take longer than that. And half a lap later, well, if he wants us to get this race going, he's going to have to let us through. He should let us through. So you're proposing, well, if he wants this race to happen, he should let us through, even though you know that that track isn't safe. So what you're doing is you're actually suggesting that if we are breaking the rules of this sport to manufacture a racing ending, this needs to happen now. That's not in accordance with the rules and regulations. This is a contrivance. This is a contrivance.
So before they do a restart, they will let you guys through.
Why do you know that? Well, that's because that's what the regulations say. Martin Brundle will say, oh, the crucial thing is that the safety car should have completed a further lap. Oh, yeah, because we all know that. And we all know that the lapped cars get let through, those that qualify. So the race engineer is just confirming the rules. Yeah. Seb saying, well, if he wants to get this going, he should let us through now. Yeah, they will let you through before they go racing again.
You know already, but you can ignore the delta now. It's just about to take a go. So keep working on tyre temps. You can get your brakes hotter. So if they do give us the instruction to unlap ourselves, it's...
So if they give us the instructions to lap ourselves, that's a change, isn't it? Okay, so we can go back. Sebastian saying they should let us through now.
So keep working on tyre temps. You can get your brakes hotter. You know already, but you can ignore the delta now. It's just... you know already, but you can ignore the delta now. It's just about to take a go.
You should let us through. If Michael wants to get this race restarted, you should let us through.
So before they do a restart, they will let you guys through. Behind those, it's you've got 4 cars between you.
I don't know why it's jumped so much out of sync. Sorry, let me readjust where I need to be on this. Well, I've just realised it's because of my inability to operate basic technology. Let's just go over this bit again. And I apologise that it's the 3rd or 4th time I'm doing this, but let's just understand what's going on here.
If Michael wants to get this race restarted, you should let us through.
So before they do a restart, they will let you guys through.
So before they do a restart, they will let you guys through. So this is what he says here. This is his race engineer here as they are approaching turn 6. Let's listen out for what he says when they're around in turn 9 or around about that. Just not that long afterwards.
You know already, but you can ignore the delta now. It's just about to take a go. So keep working on tyre temps. You can get your brakes hotter. So if they do give us the instruction to unlap ourselves...
So if they do give us the instruction to unlap themselves... But there's 3 and a bit laps to go here. And you're speculating if they give us the instruction to unlap ourselves. That's strange, isn't it?
you've got 4 cars between you and the Hamilton, the race leader. So all 4 of those will be unlapping themselves. So you stay behind. So exit of 14.
You stay behind. I'm assuming the idea of stay behind is stay behind Leclerc in front of you. I'm guessing. Again, it seems a strange way of communicating that, but...
Between you and the Hamilton, the race leader. So all 4 of those will be unlapping themselves. So you stay behind.
You stay behind. I'm guessing it can only... The only way that makes sense is to make sure you stay behind Leclerc. And obviously, that is the snake of cars that needs to be released. You stay behind. But there will be 3 cars behind you as well, Seb. There's Daniel Ricciardo, Lance Stroll, and Mick Schumacher.
So exit of 14, there is a truck on the track. So keep to the left again.
Again, the Aston Martin race engineer is aware of what is taking place at turn 14. Sky Sports pretend that they're not. Is there a crane on? Is there a vehicle on track? Getting that car out the way. Can't see.
The left.
So I believe that is the completion of lap 55. This lap being the crucial lap, the lap upon which the lapped cars need to be released so that the additional mandatory lap, that crucial one, the key regulation that wasn't followed is the safety car needs to remain out on track for that extra lap, yeah. So they have to be released this lap, so 57 can be that lap. That's the only way you'll get a racing finish. If it's not carried out, if those lapped cars are not released this lap, it's a safety car finish. That's what the rules are. That's what the entire sports knows. That's what the FIA know. That's what all the teams know. That's what all the drivers know. That's what many of the fans who actually know something about the sport actually know.
So lapped cars will not be allowed to overtake. Lapped cars will not be allowed to overtake.
So firstly, you tell us that you will be let through, the previous lap. And then you go on to say if, this was with over 3 laps ago, if, and now you're telling us that lapped cars won't be. And like I keep saying, the reason that decision has to be made like that is because at this moment in time, at turn 14 on that track, there are marshals still on track sweeping up debris. Still on track. It is not safe to release lapped cars. Then marshals are there in a relatively safe environment, able to do their job. If you released the lapped cars and say, right, off you go, you now make it around and try and catch the back of the pack, they're going to get fast-moving motor cars coming their way, aren't they? When they're anticipating they've got a bit of time for this safety car snake to arrive. You can't release lapped cars until the area is safe and that track is declared safe. You don't release these lapped cars and them thinking that the track is clear and they'll come round turn 14 at close to race pace because they're trying to work hard to catch the back of the pack, and then they'll travel over some of the debris that might still be there because it's not been fully swept away, and they pick up a puncture. Oh, then what? See, now these are all parts of what needs to happen. Latifi's car cam will show you the marshals still on track. That is why they can't be released. If those marshals depart the track within the next 15 seconds and the clerk of the course has already checked the barriers and say, right, we're good to go now, there's no reason why these lapped cars cannot be released on the way down to turn 9 or even just round turn 9 and still all make it past the safety car and the leader prior to the end of this lap. There's nothing stopping that if the clear-up operation can take place in time. It doesn't take place in time because, again, what we see even on the global feed is as this safety car snake is passing turn 14, it's then and only then that we see the marshals in the orange overalls jumping over the barriers. They were still on track at the point in time where this safety car snake passes turn 14 on this lap. And it's highly likely that the clerk of the course still needs to perform checks to then hand back to the race director, which is why we don't see race control letting lapped cars through until later on lap 57. It's highly likely that race control will have not got the confirmation from the clerk of the course that the track is safe until they are well on to lap 57. On lap 57, it was still possible to release all of those lapped cars. Why did you hold back 3 of them? To protect Max Verstappen from a challenge from third place, to separate out 2 competitors in an event which you're not allowed to do. Releasing them is futile anyway because you still can't go racing. So whilst you might carry out the process, you still got to continue with that process, which is to ensure that that safety car remains on track for a further lap, and that brings the conclusion of the event to a safety car finish. So it's irrelevant, but all of these things are wrong.
So behind you, you've got Verstappen on fresh softs, Ricciardo and Lance. Ahead,
But
Leclerc.
Verstappen is lapped. No, I'm lapped to him. So it's blue flag.
Verstappen is lapped. I'm lapped to him. You're not lapped to him. Okay? Sebastian, you are in this safety car, Snake. Hamilton has lapped you. You were lapped to Verstappen. You unlapped yourself from Verstappen by staying out on track when he pitted. So he has not lapped you yet. Now, okay, you became unlapped. Verstappen still needs to make his way by you.
Basically, as soon as we go.
Yeah, confirm.
And when have you restarted a race since 2012, since the beginning of the 2012 season, whereby lapped cars have remained in situ and they've gone racing after a safety car situation? Seb, a man of your experience, and you're pointing out, oh yeah, but yeah, he'll be trying to lap me, so I'll get blue flags, and that's then confirmed by the race engineer. And this isn't in the rules of the sport.
You're right.
Just let us through and start the race.
And this is the bit that disgusts me, Sebastian Vettel. Just let us through and start the race. So, what you are doing with that statement, you have said, just let us through and start the race. And you know what is being set up. You know that that is against the rules of the sport. You know the outcome that that is going to produce. You know that Max Verstappen is now on fresh, soft compound tyres. You know that the rules are being broken. You know that Lewis Hamilton will be a sitting duck. And your comment is, just let us through and start the race. And you know that Lewis Hamilton is being set up. And at the end of that race, Seb, you put on the facade. You go across to Lewis Hamilton and you console him. And I respected you for that. I thought you were a man of compassion. I thought that you were the sort of man that stood for what was right in this world. You didn't do that, did you, Sebastian Vettel? Just let us through and get this thing started and start the race. Just let us through and stuff Hamilton is what you're doing there, Sebastian Vettel. Just break the rules and stuff Hamilton.
I'm lapped to him. So it's blue flag basically as soon as we go.
Yeah, confirm, you're right.
Just let us through and start the race.
Just let us through and start the race. Just break the rules and give Max Verstappen the opportunity to pass Hamilton. You're okay with that? Is that what you're saying to your race engineer, Sebastian Vettel? But after the race, you'll be the first to go and greet Lewis Hamilton and put your arm around him and tell him just how unlucky he's been. We don't need two-faced people like you in this world, Sebastian Vettel. Go and virtue signal by telling us, oh, Go and set up a beehive in Japan, Sebastian. What a great chap you are. What a great chap you are.
So we haven't had a restart yet. Behind.
Oh, so funny that. We haven't had a restart yet. Wow. Why is that? Well, we've not carried out the regulations. Why would you expect there to be a restart?
Verstappen is Ricardo on new softs.
They're on new softs now. They were on used softs, so some miscommunication somewhere along the lines. On the global feed, if you have a replay of this event, you will see these cars coming around this corner of the track, turn 14, on lap 56 of the race, which is where we are now. And it will show you the drama. It will show you Kelly PK in the Red Bull garage praying to the racing gods. Oh, are we going to see a racing finish? The prayers. And then we cut back to the action on track. And you'll see the marshals in the orange overalls at turn 14 leaping over those barriers, showing that that track wasn't safe. Wasn't safe to release those lap cars. It's Max Verstappen, the blue dot at turn 14. That is where he is passing now. All 8 lap cars still need to be released. Mick Schumacher, the white dot at the very end. He has to pass the leader and the safety car before the completion of this lap. They cannot even give the order for him to even begin passing those cars that are ahead of him until he has come round here and that track has been declared clear. It's a safety car finish. That's the moment in time that Sir Lewis Hamilton is an 8-time world champion, providing he doesn't suffer mechanical failure, a tyre blowout, and doesn't have an accident. Providing he keeps his car on track for the next 2 laps, he's an 8-time world champion. Well, you know what? He did keep his car on track for the next 2 laps. He's an 8-time world champion.
So there's 2 laps to go, 2 laps.
I don't understand why he's not letting us through.
You don't understand why he's not letting you through. You just came by turn 14, Sebastian Vettel, and you will have seen those marshals in orange overalls jumping over the barriers. I don't understand why he's not letting us through. Even if he lets you through now, then that safety car remains out on track for a further lap. It's a safety car finish. What are you saying?
He's messing this thing up.
Yeah.
He's messing this thing up. He is messing this thing up. What is he messing up? What is he messing up? What has been discussed? Something has been discussed, and Sebastian is saying, whatever has been discussed, he is messing this up. It shouldn't matter to Sebastian whether this ends behind the safety car or not. What matters is the bigger show, and he's messing it up. Whatever it is we're trying to show to the world, he's messing this up. Listen.
There's 2 laps to go, 2 laps.
I don't understand why he's not letting us through. He's just messing this thing up.
He's just messing this thing up. Absolutely right, Sebastian.
Yeah, copy.
Yeah, the acknowledgement from his race engineer. Yeah, he's messing this thing up, isn't he? This isn't going well. How are we going to explain this away?
So currently we are P11. Currently P11.
So it's pretty irrelevant anyways.
Yeah, it's pretty irrelevant. You're now in P11, which is an improvement from P12. You became P11 when Perez retired, so you were irrelevant in 12th, when Perez hadn't retired. You're still irrelevant in 11th. Why you resigned, Sebastian?
So currently we are P11. Currently P11.
So it's pretty irrelevant anyways.
Yeah. Leclerc ahead is on that. 20 lap old medium. And Ocon ahead of him is on 40 lap old hard.
So you would think, being on 20 lap old medium against 40 lap old hard, Leclerc would be significantly advantaged against Ocon should it be possible to resume racing. But it wasn't possible to resume racing because the lap cars still have not been released, and once they are released, the safety car remains out on track for a further lap, which means it's a safety car finish, no racing. Doesn't matter what tyres you're on because you can't change position. Tyres are irrelevant. Why are you telling Sebastian Vettel what tyre compound people are on? The rules and regulations of the sport dictate that this is a safety car finish. It's irrelevant what tyre compound people are on.
Okay, you've been told to overtake. You can overtake. Yeah. You can overtake Hamilton. Yeah.
Okay, you've been told to overtake, but the safety car will remain out on track for a further lap. So although you're now given an opportunity to catch the back of the pack, we're not going to go racing again.
Go to go one. Go to go one. And keep up with the cars. You're racing now, basically. Safety car will be in this lap. Safety car will be in this lap.
Safety car in this lap. Safety car will be in this lap. Well, when has that happened before? Where are you saying, well, what's going on here? That's not allowed to happen.
So you can't pass the cars until you get to the control line.
So, number one, you've not called out the rules being broken, as none of them did. And going back to the start of this video, Martin Brundle tells you, for him, okay, the important regulation that wasn't followed. And it's not for Martin, okay, it's a fact. The important regulation that wasn't followed is the safety car should have stayed out for another lap. Every race engineer knows that. They know the regulations. They judge their strategy in accordance with those regulations of the sport. Martin Brundle knows that. Why are they all ignoring that? Now, this is just again, it's an aside. It's one of the reasons why things aren't right. They're saying that these 5 release cars, which is illegal anyway, you've got to release 8. But even just breaking down this illegal situation, which is not allowed to happen. So realistically, it really doesn't matter. But I'm just showing you, this is one of the reasons why it's not allowed. They've all been allowed to pass the safety car, and they've all been sent off. This lap, when they crossed the start-finish line, these 5 cars here, ahead of the race resuming, they're not allowed to be racing this lap. That lap, they are to proceed around the track at an appropriate speed and make every effort to catch the back of the pack. That is the instruction that is in the regulations. Now, so you're not racing. when you catch the back of the pack, all these gaps bunch up. So actually, when the leader jumps and goes and gets that race underway again, everybody started from this bunched up position about half a second between each other, and then you all react, and then gaps kind of concertina out, but you've got a half a chance. If you can anticipate the car in front of you going, you can keep that half a second gap, and as soon as you cross the start finish line, you can overtake them. Or if you don't anticipate it, that gap might be a second, and therefore you can't. But look where Sebastian Vettel is relative to those cars ahead of him, and they go racing straight away as soon as they cross that start finish line. That's not allowed to happen. So the chance of any of these 5 cars overtaking one another, well, they're not starting from a point of, oh, they're all bunched up, they're all travelling at a really slow speed, and then the leader goes and they all react to it, and then once they cross the start finish line, they've got the chance of attacking each other. That doesn't happen. So these 5 cars don't have the chance of restarting racing in the same way that the safety car bunch that remains have of restarting that race. So look, it's not as though Norris is waiting for Norris in now 7th, is waiting for 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th to all be slowly moving behind him. They're all half a second between each other, and he goes and they're all chasing him, and now the race doesn't work like that, does it? That's not happening between these cars. Like I say, it's an irrelevance because it's not allowed to happen. But it's another skewed outcome. See the safety car bunch? See how all them cars are bunched? Look at these 5. Were they bunched in the same way when they got racing? When they crossed the start finish line and are now allowed to race on this lap where they're not allowed to race? And look how bunched the 3rd place car of Carlos Sainz is. That red dot. Is he bunched up to 2nd? We know that he's not.
Sebastian, there is another lap after this one because we got unlapped ourselves.
Yeah, I know.
He's having to explain what's going on here because it's not normal. It's not allowed to happen.
Okay, so this is the last lap. Leclerc 2.7 ahead, all clear behind, all clear.
And don't worry about having to drive through the smoke and the fireworks at the end that are going off as you're still trying to race. Don't let those be a distraction, and don't let driving through smoke worry you. You know, there's not going to be any cars there that you could just potentially smash into whilst your visibility is impacted by all that smoke that's now going to be down that start finish straight and around the circuit.
Okay, checkered flag, Sebastian checkered flag P11. Good last lap.
Well, we gave it all.
Yeah, well done. You know, that was a good strong pace really. So to let you know what's happened, so they let the 4 of us cars.
I saw it.
And Verstappen's won the race.
Yeah, I saw that. But why did they not let us go straight away? This is.
You know the reason they didn't let you go straight away, Seb? And that was because it wasn't safe to do so. The incident was still on track. You noted yourself that it wasn't going to happen. It will take longer than that, Seb. You said that yourself. You saw that the fire extinguisher had gone off. You saw that there was debris on track. You know how long these things take to clear up. Later on, if Michael wants to get this thing done, he should let us go now. So you're aware that Michael wants to get this thing going. Why didn't he just let us go now and get this thing restarted? I'm sure Sebastian Vettel, you'd have been happy if you'd have been on course for another World Championship and the sport would have broken the rules so that you didn't get that World Championship and so that another guy got it. You're happy to play your part, aren't you, Sebastian? Happy to play your part in this one. Happy to say, well, he should just get us out of the way and get this thing going. You know what that's going to cause, Sebastian. You know that it's breaking the rules. And yet you go and console Lewis Hamilton at the end of it.
What I still don't understand. Anyways, thank you. I tried everything, but yeah, couldn't get more.
Yeah, well done, Sebastian. That was a good strong race. Take the pickup, please, as you are. Take the pickup.
Take the money and don't expose the corruption. As long as you're doing all right, you're doing all right. That's what everybody has done. Take the money and just keep going. Take the money and just keep going. As long as you're doing all right out of it, don't say anything about it. Don't expose your stuff. Don't jeopardize your position within the system. Take the money and just keep going.
Copy, taking the pickup. Okay, so thank you guys for giving me a new home and for welcoming me the way you did. I don't think it was the best of seasons, not what we expected. Also from my side, I'm not happy. I made too many small errors. So let's get a bit of a break and fresh start next year and come out of the box strong. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, Sebastian, absolutely. Completely agree. Thank you as well.
So, Sebastian Vettel, you were complicit with contriving the ending. You know the rules and regulations of the sport. You knew that they were being broken and you went along with it. You would have known what that was going to produce. And knowing all of that, you go and see Lewis Hamilton at the end of the event and you console him. You knew what was being done to him. But you go and put on the public display of, you feel for him, don't you? You feel for him. Did you really go and stand with him? Did you stand up for what was right? Or did you just take the money and play your part in the show? Well, we know what you did. So Aston Martin, your 2 drivers, your 2 audio feeds, they're now out there. I've gone through both of them. That's your 2 sets of race engineers lying about the rules of the sport, being complicit with the rules of the sport being broken. That makes you, as a Formula 1 team, complicit with fraud. And you will be going down for it. You will be going down for it. Please share this video to other fans of the sport. They need to be made aware. There's 10 more to come. Each of the drivers that took part in this fraud is going to be exposed, as are their teams, for these interactions that take place between the teams and the drivers in those last 5 laps of Abu Dhabi 2021. The entire thing was a fraud. Martin Brundle, David Croft narrated you through the fix. They lied about the rules and regulations of the sport prior to those rules being broken. Each of these teams is complicit with these rules being broken. They've clearly had a meeting beforehand to agree this notion of a racing finish, and you're not allowed to do that. If the rules and regulations do not permit it, you're not allowed to change those rules and regulations to facilitate it. And Red Bull, playing their clever cards, are somehow involved in getting this complicit agreement beforehand, where these teams have sat down and conspired to say, yeah, that would be an ideal way of ending it, to make sure it doesn't end behind the safety car. And Red Bull's clever cards are to then ensure that things play out in a way to their advantage. Like I say, if you agree a game of football that, oh, we'll make sure this ends with a penalty shootout, you don't have to worry about certain elements. It doesn't matter about formation. It doesn't matter about whether I've got defenders on the field that can or can't take penalties. All that matters is that I make sure that I've got my best penalty takers on the pitch for the end of extra time, for when it goes into penalties. Because even if I put all my best players, my best penalty takers on the pitch, and they're all attackers, well, we know that the other team is not going to score against us, because this is going to be a certain ending. So we'll play our clever cards. We'll set it up for that ending, won't we? Red Bull had nothing to lose. Red Bull played some clever cards. If Michael wants this thing to get this thing going, he's messing this up. Why doesn't he just get this? Why doesn't he just let us through and we'll get this thing going? Everything is wrong, isn't it? It was a contrivance. These people, they had meetings and sub-meetings and unwritten rules, these things that aren't allowed to happen. They're defrauding each and every one of us. They sold this to us as a sport, and they're contriving the outcome of it. It's a fraud. It's a global fraud. Understand that. Anyway, that'll do on this one. Keep your eye out for the next one, which is going to be the car ahead of Sebastian Vettel, which is Charles Leclerc. We'll see whether Ferrari were complicit with also doing the dirty on Sir Lewis Hamilton. The Ferrari team that Sir Lewis Hamilton is now going to go to. We'll see what they did to him at Abu Dhabi 2021. And we'll see whether they're worthy of trust. Thank you for your time.